A billionaire, known for his wealth and power, steps into a small restaurant on a busy evening. He isn't there for business or a meeting, just a quiet meal alone. The air smells of fresh bread and warm soup, a contrast to the cold world outside. As he waits for his order, his eyes drift toward the window. Outside, sitting on the pavement, is a man wrapped in an old tattered coat. His face is thin, his hands rough, his shoes barely holding together. But what catches the billionaire's attention are his eyes, not empty, not lost, but deep, carrying something unspoken. The man doesn't beg, he just stares at the food inside, his hunger visible, but pride keeping him from asking for anything. Something stirs inside the billionaire, something unfamiliar. Without thinking, he steps outside. "Are you hungry?" he asks. The man looks up, hesitant, as if expecting mockery. "I can buy you a meal," the billionaire says. A long pause. Then slowly, the man nods. A few minutes later, they sit across from each other at a small table. The poor man picks up his spoon carefully, as if the meal in front of him is the first real food he's had in days. The poor man takes slow, careful bites, as if savoring every flavor. He chews quietly, glancing up now and then, unsure if he should say anything. The billionaire watches him, intrigued. He isn't used to this, sitting across from someone like him, someone with nothing. His world is filled with business meetings, luxury, and numbers. But something about this man makes him curious. "What's your name?" the billionaire asks. The man wipes his mouth with the back of his hand. "Daniel. You from around here?" Daniel nods. "Used to be." The billionaire leans forward. "What happened?" Daniel hesitates, gripping his spoon tightly. "Life," he says with a sad smile. The billionaire doesn't push, but something in Daniel's voice tells him there's more. "I wasn't always like this," Daniel finally says, his voice quiet but steady. "I had a business once. A good one. Built it from the ground up." The billionaire raises an eyebrow. He didn't expect that. "What kind of business?" Daniel sets his spoon down, his fingers tapping lightly on the table. "Technology. I created something, an invention, something I thought would change my life." The billionaire's interest grows. "And," Daniel exhales sharply, his expression darkening. "And someone stole it." The billionaire leans in, sensing the weight behind Daniel's words. "Someone stole it?" Daniel nods, his fingers tightening around his spoon. "I spent years working on it. A device, small, simple, but powerful. It could change industries. I didn't have much, but I had ideas. I built a prototype, applied for a patent, and started looking for investors." The billionaire listens intently. He's heard stories like this before. Small inventors crushed by the bigger players. But something about Daniel's tone feels different. Daniel continues, his voice steady but tired. "Then came the meeting. A group of investors promised funding, resources, everything I needed to bring my invention to the market. I was desperate. I trusted them." A bitter chuckle escapes his lips. "I signed the papers. Thought it was just routine. A lawyer told me it was standard procedure. A week later my bank account was empty, my patent transferred, and I was locked out of my own company. They took everything." The billionaire's stomach tightens. He's seen aggressive business tactics before, but this was theft. "I tried to fight," Daniel says, his voice quieter now, "but I had nothing. No money for lawyers, no power to stand against them. I lost everything. My company, my home, my life." The billionaire frowns, something nagging at the back of his mind. "What was the invention?" Daniel hesitates, looking down at the table. "A high-efficiency battery system. Small, compact, long-lasting. A game-changer for energy storage." The billionaire's breath catches. That sounds familiar. He pulls out his phone, his mind racing. He quickly searches through old company records, patent acquisitions, past business deals. Then he finds it. A patent acquired years ago. The name of the original inventor? Daniel. The billionaire freezes, staring at the screen. His company owns the stolen idea. The billionaire's hand tightens around his phone. His heartbeat pounds in his ears as he stares at the screen. The patent is right there. The dates match. The name matches. His company acquired it years ago. The deal had been handled by his legal team, just another acquisition in a long list of business moves. He never questioned it, never even looked at the original inventor's name, until now. He glances up at Daniel, who is staring at his empty plate, completely unaware of what's happening. The billionaire swallows hard. This man, homeless, broken, forgotten, once stood where he stands now. He had a future, a dream, and it was taken from him. By people like me, the billionaire thinks grimly. By my company, a wave of guilt crashes over him. He built his empire on smart investments, on acquiring new technology before competitors could. But now, for the first time, he wonders, how many others had stories like Daniel's? Daniel sighs and leans back. I stopped thinking about it years ago. It's pointless to hold on to something that's never coming back. The billionaire hesitates. Should he tell him? Should he say that the invention Daniel lost became one of the most profitable products in the industry? That the billionaire himself had unknowingly benefited from it? He clenches his jaw. If he says nothing, Daniel will walk away tonight, never knowing the truth. But if he says something, everything changes. The billionaire looks at Daniel again, really looks at him. A man who had every reason to be bitter, but wasn't. A man who lost everything, yet still carried himself with quiet strength. He takes a deep breath. He can't ignore this. He won't. A decision forms in his mind. He has to make this right. The billionaire stares at his phone, his fingers frozen over the screen, his mind races. He could say nothing. Let Daniel finish his meal, hand him some cash, and walk away. That would be easy, it would keep his world intact, but the thought makes his stomach turn. Daniel lost everything because of a deal the billionaire's company made. A deal he never questioned. He looks up. Daniel is watching the people in the restaurant, his gaze distant. What would you do if you could go back? The billionaire asks suddenly. Daniel blinks, turning to him. Go back? To when you still had your invention. If you had another shot, what would you do? Daniel exhales, thinking. I'd do it differently, protect myself, be smarter. He shakes his head. But that's just wishful thinking. The billionaire feels a lump in his throat. It's not just wishful thinking. He has the power to change Daniel's life. To fix what was stolen. But what would that mean? Admitting his company was built in part on stolen innovation? Facing the consequences of that truth? His hands tighten into fists. The right thing is never easy. He looks at Daniel again. He has made his choice. The billionaire exhales slowly. His mind is made up. He looks at Daniel, a man who has every reason to hate the world, but doesn't. A man who lost everything yet still holds on to something. Dignity, maybe hope, even if it's buried deep. I want to show you something, the billionaire says, placing his phone on the table. Daniel frowns as the billionaire turns the screen toward him. The patent document is open, the name at the top unmistakable. Daniel leans forward, his eyes narrowing. It takes him a moment, then suddenly, his breath catches. He looks up, confused. Where did you get this? The billionaire's voice is calm, but firm. It belongs to my company. We acquired it years ago. Daniel's hands tremble as he stares at the screen. This is mine. His voice is barely a whisper. How? The billionaire takes a deep breath. You weren't lying, Daniel. Your invention changed the world, and my company, whether I knew it or not, profited from it. Silence hangs between them. Daniel looks away, his jaw clenched. So what now? He mutters. You just wanted to confirm it? Make yourself feel better? The billionaire shakes his head. No, I want to make things right. Daniel laughs bitterly. Right? After all these years? Yes. The billionaire's voice is steady. I want to offer you more than money. I want to give you what was stolen. I want you to be part of this company, part of what you built. Partner with me. Help me take your invention further. Daniel stares at him, disbelief in his eyes. This is real? He asks. Yes, the billionaire says. You deserve this chance. For the first time in years, Daniel doesn't know what to say. Daniel sits in stunned silence, his mind struggling to process the billionaire's words. He looks at the screen again, at his own name on the patent, proof that his past wasn't just a dream. His throat feels dry. You're serious? The billionaire nods, completely. Daniel exhales, leaning back in his chair. I don't understand. Why would you do this? The billionaire pauses, choosing his words carefully. Because it's the right thing to do. I built my success without realizing part of it belonged to you. I can't change the past, but I can fix this now. Daniel shakes his head slowly. People like you don't do things like this. You don't just give away power, money. I'm not giving it away. The billionaire interrupts. I'm offering you what's yours. You created something valuable, and I want you to be part of it again. Daniel looks down at his hands. The rough skin, the calluses, the years of hardship, they all remind him of what he lost. He had given up believing in second chances. Now, out of nowhere, one is staring him in the face. But can he trust it? What's the catch? He asks cautiously. No catch, the billionaire replies. But I won't lie to you, it won't be easy. You'll have to step back into a world that took everything from you. Work alongside the same industry that betrayed you. Daniel lets out a bitter chuckle. And you expect me to just walk in like nothing happened? No, the billionaire admits, but I hope you'll walk in knowing you belong there. Silence stretches between them again. The restaurant hums with quiet conversations around them. But in this moment, nothing else exists except the weight of the decision. For years, Daniel had convinced himself he had nothing left to fight for. That dreamers like him didn't survive in a world ruled by corporations. But here he is, staring at the proof that he was never just a failure, that his work had mattered, that it still matters. The billionaire leans forward. Daniel, you don't have to decide now, but I want you to think about it. Really think about it. Daniel swallows hard, his fingers tapping against the table. His heart pounds in his chest. For the first time in years, the future isn't just an endless stretch of struggle. For the first time in years, there's hope. He nods slowly. Okay, I'll think about it. The billionaire smiles, relief washing over him. It's a start, he says. Daniel steps out of the restaurant, the cold night air hitting his face. He takes a deep breath, his mind still spinning. The billionaire follows, hands in his pockets, watching him carefully. He knows this isn't easy. He knows Daniel doesn't fully trust him yet, and he doesn't blame him. Daniel looks up at the sky, the city lights drowning out the stars. I don't know if I can do this, he says quietly. The billionaire nods. I get it, he pauses, but you don't have to do it alone. Daniel glances at him. There's something in the billionaire's eyes, something real. Not pity. Not guilt. Something else. A promise. The billionaire pulls out his phone. I'll have my team set up a meeting. No pressure, no contracts. Just a conversation. We'll go from there. Daniel exhales sharply, then nods. All right. The billionaire holds out his hand. Daniel stares at it for a moment, then slowly shakes it. It feels strange. After years of loss, after years of believing his story was over, something is starting again. As he walks away, his steps feel different, lighter. For the first time in a long time, Daniel doesn't feel invisible. For the first time in a long time, he feels like he matters.